you recently said that what universities have done is beyond forgiveness. I wonder if you can explain what you mean by that. And a second connected question is, I'll put it starkly, should we abolish universities? Or,
no, they'll do that themselves.
Okay. Let's hear a little bit about what they've done that you think renders them beyond forgiveness.
Well, they're overwhelmingly administratively top-heavy. And they don't spend any more money on the faculty than they did 30 years ago. And the cost of that administrative top-heaviness, which is well documented, not by me, by other people, and it's been that way, it's been accelerating over the last 20 years, has been a radical increase in tuition fees, especially compared to the radical decrease in price of most things over the last 20 years. Now, so they've become administratively top-heavy. The way, and this is especially true in the United States, the way that's been managed is that unsuspecting students are given free access to student loans that will cripple them through their 30s and their 40s. And the universities are enticing them to extend their carefree adolescence for a 4-year period at the cost of mortgaging their future earnings in a deal that does not allow for escape through bankruptcy. So it's essentially a form of indentured servitude. There's no excuse whatsoever for that. It means the administrators have learned how to pick the future pockets of their students. And because they also view them in some sense as sacred cash cows and fragile, let's say, because you might wonder why the students are being treated like they're so fragile. It's like, well, we don't want them to drop out now, do we? And we can't, if they drop out, then we don't get our hands on their future earnings in a way that they can't escape from. And that cripples the economy because the students come out overladen with debt that they'll never pay off right at the time when they should be at the peak of their ability to take entrepreneurial risks. So they can't do that because they're too crippled by debt. And so that's absolutely appalling. They're gerrymandering the accreditation processes so that the degree no longer has its credible value. They're enabling the activist disciplines, which have zero academic credibility whatsoever in my estimation, and I'm perfectly willing to defend that claim. And by enabling the activist disciplines, they're allowing for the distribution of this absolutely nonsensical view that Western society is fundamentally a patriarchal tyranny, which is absurd on at least 5 dimensions of analysis, but is becoming increasingly the thing you have to believe if you're allowed to speak in public. Well, that's what else? That's a good start. They're not teaching students to read critically. They're not introducing them to great literature. They're not teaching them to write. It's like the list goes on and on and on.
Do you think in a way that you are a symbol of higher education's failure? Meaning the reason maybe that people are showing up, 5,000 people to listen to you, it's going to be 20,000 in London in July, is because there aren't that many people who unironically are talking about what it is to live a good life and asking questions about how to live a meaningful one. If you would say that in most universities, I feel that you would be laughed out of the room.
Well, it would depend on how you said it and to who, but if you say it to students, then they're so happy to listen to you that they can hardly stand it. Because even the most cynical students come to university hoping that there's something there worth learning. Mm-hmm. And the reason that they're exposed to great literature, for example, because there is such a thing, it's not all power claims, is because great literature contains the key to wisdom, and you need wisdom in order to live without undue suffering. So, yes, would I say that what's happened to me is a reflection of the failure of the universities? It is in part, although I did teach this.
And not just you, the whole intellectual dark web. Mm-hmm. The fact that people listen to Sam Harris talk for hours, and Michael, I mean, all of these people that.
Well, I think you know, you want to go for the simple solutions before you go for the complex ones, and you want to go for the solutions that are associated with ignorance rather than malevolence first. And I would say that we don't want to underestimate the degree to which what's happening in YouTube and with podcasts as the consequence of a technological revolution. Like, I've known for years that the universities underserve the community, because for some reason we think that university education is for 18 to 22-year-olds, which is a proposition that's so absurd that it's absolutely mind-boggling that anyone ever conceptualized it. It's like, you know, why wouldn't you take university courses throughout your entire life? I mean, what, you stop searching for wisdom when you're 22? I don't think so. You don't even start usually until you're like in your mid-20s. So I knew the universities were underserving the broader community a long time ago, but there wasn't a mechanism whereby that could be rectified, apart from, say, books, and of course that was part of the rectification. So I think you don't want to underestimate the technological transformation. But then, and then I would also say, I mean, I was teaching this in university, you know, so it isn't like there isn't anybody in university still teaching this sort of thing. There are plenty of qualified professors who are still doing a good job, but they're being pushed out very rapidly and terrified as well by the activist disciplines.